our next guest be talking about indoor air quality solutions. His name is Rick Aller from 720 Degrees, Finland. Hello, Rick.
Hi.
So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm Rick from 720 Degrees from Finland. I'll answer a previous question, actually, what's the most important aspect that we look for in the future that we can affect? It's our indoor climate, because it's all encompassing throughout the construction sector and energy, health, well-being, comfort. There's a lot to be done here, and the good part is we have the tools to do it. We are focusing on artificial intelligence, and that's what I'll be discussing today. So we're founded in 2012, so we're quite a young company. If you compare us to companies such as Kanskar or other large construction companies, and we do happen to be a leader in artificial intelligence applied to indoor climate data. We prove that by speaking at different conventions in the area, and by submitting patents on our categorization on stream analytics and a few others upcoming. So we've been doing this since 2012, and we have an office in Helsinki and one in New York, and we have hundreds of buildings that we monitor for very, very detailed aspects of the environment across the world. And today I'll talk about sustainability a little bit. How to improve on sustainability in buildings by focusing now mainly on air quality, on indoor climate, on indoor environmental quality, whichever factor we want to cover the topic with. And this further improved through applying artificial intelligence. Now, there are a few goals which we also try to focus on in our endeavors, which are set out by the United Nations. So some of these are the goals for sustainability, and there's a lot that can be done in the construction industry, but there can also be a lot done in data and air quality to achieve these. Health and environment is very much interlinked. Our work and our productivity is synonymous. The sustainability and energy consumption coupled with climate action is a very important factor that we need to take into consideration. Now, what we do as a company can be simplified through this image, but I can try to make it a little bit more complex for the people who might be bored by this. So we collect data. We collect this through different technologies, IoT devices, using different protocols. There's LoRa protocol, Sigfox, NB-IoT, NOcean. There's a lot of different protocols which we use a network that's harmonious to bring in as many data sources as possible. And to make this more complicated, we also have a bidirectional API to collect and to give commands to BMS systems. Now, artificial intelligence, of course, is a simple topic, and we analyze the data and produce actionable insights, but we do this through applying from anything from a degree of thresholds to neural nets to predict particulate matter levels outdoor in order to really give a good recommendation. So this recommendation is generated in form of notifications or in reporting, in running suggestions to the to the automation systems, service providers, or other relevant stakeholders like asset managers, maintenance personnel, property managers. This is something where you can constantly improve on the building, but not in a way where People think, okay, well, we don't want to increase our actions and our spending, and that's not what that means. What it means is we can give more targeted notifications and reporting and suggestions in order to improve on the environment, so you will actually do less. And that is an important factor here, because when we talk about money, we talk about resources, we're also talking about the environment. We're also talking about productivity. And when it comes to productivity, occupants in the buildings, talking about office buildings, talking about schools, there's metrics such as performance, such as productivity, and all of these are important to some extent. So we want people in buildings to be productive, or comfortable or healthy, but there's always a goal that can be achieved and improved by focusing on the indoor climate. And in the end, the building will consume fewer resources and satisfaction increases. When satisfaction increases, that's when you couple it with, for instance, productivity. Now, the sustainability impact that I want to talk about is something that has been impacted. I don't know if people have noticed the past more than a year or so. There's been kind of a huge radical shift in the world that no one really saw coming, unless of course you were an epidemiologist who were sounding the alarm for a long time and no one listened to you. Now, this is something where everyone's affected, and it's been a horrible time, but it's something where it has also opened up the door to research on how airborne contagions are affected by, for instance, poor air quality. There's numerous studies linking high PM 2.5 levels to exacerbated symptoms by COVID-19. We're really seeing what there is, how the air quality itself can impact us. What is dilution of air doing to us? And even without a pandemic such as this one, there has long been focus in the industry around relative humidity indoors, better filtration, better dilution of air, better reuse of humidity, whatever they might be. It's been more in focus now. Climate change also increasingly urgent for everyone to act on. And the fact is, I think many speakers will say the real estate industry, it is the largest asset class in the world. That also makes it a high consumer. Heating in buildings is such a high consumer, and of course construction otherwise. We have a responsibility to improve on how we use these resources, and applying anything less than exceptional technology and analytics on this is I'd say irresponsible. Now, social responsibility might be something that people look at and, okay, it's not our responsibility to care for the work environment of people in buildings if we aren't that actual company. And I'd say that's correct. We don't have to care about the environment, but the safe environment at work is everyone's prerogative. And there are ways where we can increase our allocation of resources, where we can improve on it, where we can get more profitability out of all our buildings if we just focus more on making the environment safer. Now, going into these topics, the environmental one is interesting because no matter what organization you are, if you are not using proper analytics for indoor environmental climate, I'm not saying you need to use 720 exactly. I mean, we have people who work in sales who will say exactly that. But what I will say is, if you are not using technology, you are over consuming your resources. You might say, okay, we do the bare minimum. Well, the bare minimum is actually causing a lot of unnecessary work. People might be complaining about it. You might not care, but they might be consuming resources. And then you might say, okay, well, we're doing the best we can. Well, you're doing the best you can, but you're probably over consuming in trying to meet higher standards as well. your unawareness in what the standards will be is draining your organization. Now, if you're one of our clients, which is quite likely still, please, you're not doing it wrong. It's just those who are. Now, applying IoT and analytics allows you to spend work hours for maintenance more effectively. It allows you to use less utilities, less energy, just from focusing on the indoor environment. I'm not talking about energy optimization. I'm talking about communicating more effectively with your tenants and occupants about what the limitations are and abilities are in the environment. Now, the social part here, 4% of all burden of disease on average in developed countries. Now we're talking about almost all of Europe is 4% still. So I'm not talking about extreme cases like some specific isolated regions with super poor particulate matter levels or poor air quality. I'm talking about the developed countries. So now this is 4% of all burden of disease. This is a huge number. And if you don't have particulate matter sensors in your building, you're about, and you're just going down that road and trying to figure out what to do with those sensors, you're about 5 years away from doing anything. Because sensors aren't the key here. As I mentioned earlier, using neural nets to predict with 9 days 9 days in advance with 95% precision is a key element to being able to do anything about the PM levels, because then you can react if there's long-term issues like filtration. You can react if there's windows open when they shouldn't be open. You're draining resources. You're also worsening the air quality indoors. You need to measure other things like indoor pollutants, so TVOC, tow, and formaldehyde. If you don't do that, then you don't know what the relationship between these environments are. And you are actually not decreasing the burden of disease. And now you might say as well, because this is not a conversation, I'm going to have to make up the most critical voice in the room. You might say, how does that affect the bottom line? It doesn't necessarily immediately, but since you might be 5 years away, we are there already. Our customers are there already. They are able to say, and in a couple of years, this will be public, which buildings have been taking care of this. Now, you might be in an environment where, for instance, COVID has affected how people use offices, how people move in environments. We want better environments. We want to have less space for offices. We want to work from home through some hybrid model. Some wish 10%, 20, 50, but there is some hybrid coming up. We want better environments. And once there's proof that there are better environments, there will be a shift. And you do not want to be on the bad side of that shift, because there's a lot of money in play for that one. So I'm really trying to connect the dots for the social, because it's going to take a while before everyone gets it. Now, governance, on the other hand, that's the productivity. There's a lot of studies around productivity and about what productivity means and kind of what it has as an impact on the bottom line in companies. And indoor climate and productivity is very hard to link together. You measure productivity by the grand goal usually of something like turnover, and so many things can affect that you can't attribute a single thing that easily. But what we do know is there's research which is very, very clear on, for instance, thermal comfort, on how that affects the productivity level and performance level more accurately of people. And we have the data to say what are the conditions where they can perform better. And when we come to what should be done in the building, we have the action categories. We have ventilation control, pollutant identification, transparency and communication, which should never be neglected. And really in this industry, people neglect it. People think that more data is just going to make things worse. No, not if you know how to communicate. We have change management for that exact reason. People are understanding about changes as long as they're communicated. That is true for leadership, and it's true for indoor climate. There's heating, there's cooling, filtration efficiency, resource right sizing. So where do you allocate your service personnel? Are you doing this on a just all covering all bases, or just reacting to things as they come along? And then, of course, airborne contagion mitigation. You need to check that the levels within the building, the air is diluted enough. If you do not, then you will have an issue with airborne contagions. Now, we might be passing along from this pandemic, but the communication will still be there about what is a good environment and how do contagions spread within the building. And there are safer ways to operate, and those are the ones we're communicating to our customers. Now there's increase of savings from right sizing. There's lower maintenance costs from decreasing IAQ issues. Utilities, we need to focus on that as well. But saving energy is also one place where you don't only need to save energy to save on the environment. There are other resources. We have a lot that we're consuming that's eating up the environment. And of course, higher satisfaction will lead to less churn in your buildings, whether it's employee churn or if it's churn from tenants in your buildings. Now, this is what I wanted to say on the sustainability topic, and what we want to do for customers, and how all of this is interlinked within AI and sustainability and indoor climate. I hope I've at least inspired some people to ask questions, whether you want to be the most critical person in the room, or if you want to just be nice to me. Either way is fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Will always be nice to you, so don't worry about that. Well, we have some time for a quick question. My question is, AI as artificial intelligence. I think there is a huge benefit for private business. Have you reached out to institutions, to state companies? Because I think this is what will change the dynamics of this existence when the nation states will support it within their institutional facilities such as schools, ministries, etc. How do you think about this and cooperate with them?
Yeah, on many levels, because we have, of course, customers, municipalities, governments. We have as customers. We have administrations. So we have many schools which are monitored constantly. In many municipalities, we have government buildings, tax offices, police offices, and everything in between, and offices which we can't mention are monitored. But we also have a good relationship, which we've done a cooperation with the European Commission, where we have developed they gave us a grant for over €1 million to develop on this solution to be improved and to increase on the sustainability and office working process and productivity.
Thank you, Rick. One more quick question about work from home, work remote, home office. That's been terms that have been basically buzzwords throughout the whole of last year. Your business is focused on buildings, offices. How does it connect to this new trend of people just leaving big companies and just moving to small spaces, to their homes, etc.?
I think it's good. I think it should be increased. There's multiple aspects of it. Of course, we have a residential product as well, so we do offer this for homes as well, even for employers who want their employees to still take care of their working environment from home. Just as people buy chairs for their employees, they might now want to buy indoor environmental quality monitoring for the home. But there are other aspects to it, which is the office will be more important in the future, I think, for an actual purpose, for meeting people in person. And there we want to take extra steps to make this a high quality environment. So I think this will be extremely important for our sake. The pandemic hasn't been enjoyable for any individual, but as a company, this has sped up the progress for us and for the awareness of what we're doing a lot, and that's good.
Well, you truly are a 720 company. Then thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you.
Short summary before we move on to our last speaker. The pandemic has put the quality of air indoors amongst people's and companies' priority. That's logical. Be it as it may, it goes in hand with our sustainability goals, because we can improve sustainability by focusing on indoor air quality. And artificial intelligence is here to amplify it. It's the technology that has a lot to say in the future, be it construction, environment, health, or factory production. Artificial intelligence has the ability to be more precise, to use data, to use more data, to analyze them better, and improve automation systems. And 720 Degrees can provide such solutions for various types of buildings and businesses. And no matter what company you work for, using data technology to improve your business and environment today is a must. And if you are not doing that, you might be lagging behind.